Hi, thank you for joining me. Today we're going to do the final video on the Artist Journal. What you'll need is, of course, your paper, your book board, the spiral or the binding ring, and this little cinch machine is what we're going to use to do most of the heavy lifting, so to speak. So let's begin. And we've already cut the paper and the book board to the size that we'd like it. The paper will fit flush up against this piece, which is the scale. You move it according to the size of the paper. Since its longest part will be 6 inches, we'll leave it pushed all the way in, and we don't need to move these pegs. These pegs gauge where your paper will be punched. You want to stack the paper as evenly as possible. I've already punched holes here, but I want to demonstrate it to you. You only want to use so many sheets. There's a limit to the amount of sheets that you can use, and I don't generally go past 5 to 10 sheets, no matter what the instructions say. So holding the paper on the left and the right, slide it all the way in to the machine and all the way to the left, so that it butts up against that ledge. Once it's there, then you're going to press this down all the way. That's what we're going to do. So now I'm going to take off the safety piece and allow that to lift up. I'm holding the paper, pushing it all the way underneath, or all the way into the cutter and all the way to the left. Make sure your fingers are clear of this piece. So holding the paper here on the edge, press down with the other hand. You can hear it click, and then lift up. It makes a nice clean cut. So we're going to do the same thing for the book board, and this is just a demo piece, so it's not a true book board. But the book board is somewhat thick. You're going to do it the same way, but I recommend only cutting one book board at a time so you don't have the problem of them shifting. So placing the book board all the way underneath this piece and flush over here on the left hand side, you then holding it down with one hand, press this lever completely down. You can hear and feel it click, and there you have it. So we're going to do it one more time. Taking the board, pushing it all the way to the back of the machine. I'm just double checking to make sure the lever is all the way up, making sure it's flush to the left. And now I'm going to hold it in place with one hand and pull the lever down with the other and lift, and there we have the other cut. I kind of like to put this, there's a little safety piece here that I kind of like to put in place before I move it. Now with that done, here's the two book boards and the paper. Just stack the paper all nice and neat, and as you can see, it has cut, I've counted them before, but there's 11 holes here and then a partial hole. So it's going to have the same cut on the paper and both book boards. So we line those up together. If you line it up in the opposite direction, it doesn't quite line up. You can fight with it. It'll almost line up. And so if you want to flip one forward and one the other way, you can. Either way, that's how you line them up. And then I'm going to set that to the side and show you what else we'll need to do with this machine. Now with this machine, the reason why I said it does your heavy lifting, for one, it cuts the paper really nicely for you. The other reason is we're going to place the ring, or the binding ring. We're going to place it in this channel, and then we're going to use the machine in order to squish it down into a circle on this. So let me show you how to do that. since there are 11 holes on here, I will need to count out 11 parts of this ring, and I've kind of beat it up, but I'll use it anyway. I'm going to count out 11 pieces or stems and then cut it. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11. And this is where it's joined, so that's where I'll cut it at. I'll take my nippers and cut it in the middle. Move that to the side. Each side should have that little piece hanging over, and that piece you'll turn under when you finish. So now I'm taking the book board together. Get that so it fits. That way it fits quite nicely. Okay, so I'm holding the paper and the 2 book blocks. I have the paper in between and the 2 book blocks, just how you want it assembled. So double check to make sure it is exactly how you want it to be. Now I'm going to place one of these prongs in one of these holes. So each hole will have a prong. And there you have it. Lines up quite nicely. Okay, and then I place these, once the prongs are in the ring, or the rings are in the holes, I set that down. I'm going to take the safety off the machine and pull the handle up. Once I pull the handle up, this opens up in this direction. So this is a 1-inch binding ring. So I set the dial this dial is turned so it will adjust the piece for the size of the ring, and these are 1-inch rings that we're using. And so now, see if you can see that this ring is going to fit in here like that with the paper on it. So that's what we're going to do. Now I tend to put the rings to the close end here. Let me demonstrate on here. This closed end here, if I keep them on this end, this is the end that I threaded through the paper. If I keep it there when I'm trying to cinch it closed, it will keep popping off. And I'm going to try and juggle this so that you can actually see it. So I've turned the rings so that the paper is towards that end. I'm going to place it in here flush, as flush as possible. Now when I'm cinching this together, I have to make sure I don't squeeze my fingers up in there. So I'm going to kind of hold it here with my hand. And as I do that, I'm going to press it close little by little. You can see it closing, moving my fingers out of the way. And you see it close. Now I'm just going to lay this flat so it'll close all the way. If it does not close to the right diameter, you can turn the dial. You can see it as it's closing. And they are supposed to just meet. Let me move this out of the way. Put the safety on it and get it out of the way. Now, can you see that? These 2 pieces are supposed to just meet. It helps this be round, otherwise it'll be off. And since these are not meeting so well, I'm going to adjust it down a bit. I have it on 1. I don't want to zoom in and out because I'm not so great with that. So I'm going to turn it down to the very next one, which is 7/8. This is a 1-inch binding ring. And so I'm going to turn it down to 7/8 instead of the 1 inch and see if that will get us where we want. These two pieces have to meet. If they stay open like that, your paper, your pages will come out. Okay, let me turn it. Let me lay it flat and do it again. And I will let you know, I have tried to do this myself without this machine, and it's a little difficult. It's very difficult to keep the shape also. There you are. And that's how it's supposed to look. They're just supposed to meet. They're not supposed to cross over. Then what we will do, these two little pieces on both sides that hang over, we will then take a pair of our nose pliers, grab it, and twist it back upon itself. Like that. And that way it doesn't snag anything. We do one side and then we do the other side. And that will finish it off. Now, you don't have to worry about when you flip it over, it coming off. It's on there. That's what we're going to do. And this is a little beat up. The second pair of hands will keep it from being so disastrous. But basically, that's how you do it. So, thank you for joining me. Until next time.